Need more time? Want more from your business and your life? Welcome to the Simple Life Habits Podcast, where you'll learn how to work less, do more, and live your life with greater focus. Now, here's your host, Jonathan Milligan.
Can you take breaks and be more productive? Can you work less and actually do more? Well, that's going to be the topic for today's podcast. Welcome to the Simple Life Habits Podcast. This is Jonathan, your coach and sojourner through this process. First of all, congratulations and a big thank you to everyone out there who is faithfully listening to this new podcast. We're only 10 episodes in, and already in the middle of this month, we've exceeded the number of listeners from last month and quadrupled the number of listeners from the month before. So thank you so much for listening, downloading this podcast. My goal is to keep this podcast in under an average commute. So as you're commuting to work or you're just going on an average jog, this podcast stays between 15 and 30 minutes, and it gives you ideas, tips, and resources for helping you accomplish the goals in your life. In fact, the most important goals, because our focus on simplelifehabits.com is to help you work less, do more, and live with greater focus. Now, when we say work less, we're not talking about the fact that work is evil, that we're working for the weekends, that we don't enjoy our work. It has nothing to do with it. We're becoming more efficient and effective when we actually sit down to work. See, I think we've got a big epic on our hands in America today where people just clock in and time weighs heavy on their hands. We don't work toward results. We don't get paid by the job. We get paid by the hour. And I hope to help you make the turn and become somebody who not only gets fulfilled in their work and feels a great sense of satisfaction and accomplishment, but you do it in less time so that you can truly enjoy the better things in life. That's why we say work less, but yet do more. Because the truth is, if you adopt this philosophy, you can work less hours in the day, still accomplish more, and yet still be able to have the time that you want to do the things you want to do. And then we also say live with greater focus. And the reason we say that is because we want you to get an understanding of what is most important to you. What are those big rocks, those big important roles and goals in your life? And you got to spend time there. That's where you become the most fulfilled. Well, before we jump into today's topic, I just want to invite you to come join over 1,000 others who have jumped in to the 30-day Get Productive Challenge. This is a 30-day course along with videos and checklists to help you get organized, establish those important goals, write a simple life plan, and have a focus for where you're headed in life. So if you want to learn how to live with greater focus, then I would encourage you to go sign up for this free 30-day Get Productive Challenge. And you can get to it simply by going to simplelifehabits.com/GPC. Those are initials for Get Productive Challenge. simplelifehabits.com/GPC. All right, today's topic is this: the power of taking a real break. Taking breaks. Do you think you can be more productive and yet take breaks throughout the day? Maybe you're at a place where you say, I'm in traditional employment. This is not a possibility. Well, toward the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you some tips and ideas. But if you're self-employed, if you work from home, if you're a freelancer, if you're a consultant, then I really want you to plug into this for the next few minutes. You can learn the power of taking breaks, and it actually will improve your productivity. You see, we all need to have these mental breaks. our saw becomes dull, as Stephen Covey would say it, and we need time to sharpen the saw. And I do it a couple times every single day. Especially for those that are knowledge workers and you're sitting behind a computer all day, you've got to understand that just sitting behind a computer doesn't make you productive. In fact, I used to buy into that philosophy. I always thought that I feel good if I'm just able to sit behind the computer for hours and hours and hours a day. And so if I sat behind the computer 10 hours, then even though I could have gotten more accomplished in 5 hours if I was really focused, I still felt good because of the quantity of time that I was spending behind the computer. But the truth is, and what I've discovered, is that quality time means more. And that's what I'm hoping to get across to you today. Now, there's a few steps in this process that you're going to need to learn. First of all, you're going to need to establish the length of your focus session. Now, I have what I call focus sessions. And focus session for me is between a 30 and 90 minute block of time that I work without interruption, without checking social media, my email, answering the phone. I purely focus and get absorbed into a particular task. For some of you, 30 minutes may be the max you're able to do. I always try to go for 90. If I can go for 90, then I'm going to take a break for 30. And I'm going to repeat that throughout my workday. So I can't overemphasize the beauty and importance of a focus session. And I hope to do another podcast focused just in that area. But for now, I'm going to focus on the break portion and why it's so important for you to take breaks. But once you establish your length of your focus session, you need to also establish how long that break's going to be. Maybe you can only do 5 minutes. Maybe 15 is ideal. Maybe you really need a 30-minute break. Then go for it. But establish the length of your focus session. Then next, you need to, in your mind, agree that taking breaks is absolutely beneficial. And this was hard for me. I could sort of see why taking breaks was important, and I really wanted to because, after all, even the most passionate person about their work doesn't want to spend their whole life working. You have other things you want to pursue. There's hobbies, interests, going for a walk, playing with your kids. There's so much more to life than just work. So I knew that taking breaks was important, but I really struggled in justifying that it was okay for me to take regular breaks. You have to tell yourself it's okay. And the reason why, and I mentioned it earlier, is because often I was sitting in my office chair doing something, and as long as I was doing something, I felt like things were moving forward. But what I failed to realize was the value of sharpening the saw. The longer I sat in that chair and worked, the duller my blade became, thus making me less and less productive the longer I sat in my chair. Even though I was putting in a lot of hours. And I realized that I needed to establish breaks in order to recharge my batteries. So you first got to decide that it's okay and it's actually more beneficial to take breaks. And this is hard for us to grasp because it's such a paradigm shift that if we take breaks and do a little less work, we'll actually get more done. But we're looking for quality, not quantity. Here's another principle. Make sure that you take a real break. You see, my second big mistake when I first started out was not taking real breaks. This was a big challenge for me. I didn't clearly define what a break was when I first started. I used my break time to check email, to read other blogs, check on my online earnings. What I discovered is that I had a hard time getting refocused once that break was over. And the main reason is because I never changed my environment. I didn't take a real break. Now I've defined what a real break is for me. I have to step away from the computer for the entire 30-minute break. For example, one of my afternoon breaks is from 3 o'clock to 3:30 every afternoon. And this works out great because my kids get home from school about the same time as my break. It gives me an opportunity to walk with them down to the park in our neighborhood, throw football in the front yard, or go for a bike ride. And what I've noticed by following the schedule is that when I get back to work, I'm ready. I'm good to go, and focus is at an all-time high for me because I took the actual break. And for the next 90 minutes, I'm incredibly productive, even in the afternoon. So obviously for some of you, your boss establishes your schedule for you. Well, I'm going to give you some tips that I hope will be a help to you. Here's tip number 1. Take full advantage of your lunch break. Don't make the mistake that I made when I was in traditional employment. I used to work downtown and I thought, I'm just going to bring my lunch and I'm going to work through lunch. I can get more done. I can answer some additional emails. I can be available to answer phone calls for people who are on their lunch break that want to get a hold of me. And what I found was my afternoons became incredibly sluggish. I mean, by 2:30, 3 o'clock, I was mentally checked out. I was not doing the things that I wanted to do. Why? Because I didn't take full advantage of my lunch break. And then I did something that was really beneficial to me. I began to actually join a gym. It was a couple blocks away, and I joined the gym and decided that every lunch I was going to go work out. And I can't tell you what that did for me in the amount of having focus and energy to tackle the afternoon. So if you're in traditional employment, I would encourage you to take full advantage of the lunch break. Get out of the office, get away, go to lunch, go for a walk, go to a nearby park, do some reading, go work out, but get away from the computer, especially if you are a knowledge worker. Here's another tip. Get up and walk for about 5 minutes. Now, just about every employer allows some flexibility in getting up and away from the desk. And if your employer doesn't allow you every hour or a couple hours to actually get up and walk around a bit, you need to find a new employer. So you need to think about, okay, if I were to focus in and work for the next 90 minutes, I'm going to get up and I'm just going to walk around. Maybe you can take a break to the restroom, or maybe you can go outside for just a few minutes. Just walk around the building once or twice. Just get up and get away from your environment. Remember, the longer you stay put, the duller your blade becomes. You have to be able to break away in order to be more focused and productive when you return. So I'm going to give you a challenge. Why don't you take the next week and look at your schedule and think about how you can incorporate this in some way. Establish some focus sessions where you are absolutely focused in doing the best you can to get things done. Now, if you say, well, I'm constantly interrupted and distracted, go back and listen to the podcast episode before this one, where I give you some simple tips on managing distractions and interruptions. But I want you to try and have a goal this next week of breaking away even in the middle of your day. Especially talking to you that are self-employed, or you are a freelancer, or you are a consultant. You really need to think about the quality of your work and not just the quantity. And that it is possible, if you allow yourself to give it a try, it's possible for you to work less and do more. So that's it. That's my challenge today. I hope you will take this to heart and really try to make this one of your life habits. It's another simple life habit, and it's one that works and has worked for me. So now that I'm done with this podcast, I think I'm going to go take a break. I hope you'll take a break soon as well. All right, we'll see you either in the next podcast, or you're always welcome to come visit us at simplelifehabits.com.